Stop. Do not admit a new resident unless you have done these. 1. Assess this patient thoroughly before deciding, yes, I am going to take this resident into my facility. I am laughing because the doctor who is attached to our nursing home, she would laugh at the fact that I am advising you guys this, because in the past, I have done the opposite. You know, you're so glad that the bed is being taken and that somebody has chosen your nursing home, and you say, yes, come. Or sometimes you don't have a choice. Sometimes they call from hospital. Nurse, I'm looking for a place for my brother. He's 80 years old. He's had a stroke. Hospital is discharging him. I have nowhere else for him, and you came recommended. So please, do you have room? So my first response is always, yes, sure, come, but get X, Y, and Z. So at the end of the day, we as nursing home owners are always very happy when our beds are being filled. Good. But we need to do due diligence so that we are best prepared to give the required care for this particular person. We are not doing ourselves any good. We are not doing our staff any good. And certainly not the resident when we are not prepared. So as much as possible, assess your residents' need, assess their physical condition, assess their medical condition, assess their emotional condition before you decide, yes, I can cope with this resident. Obtain medical records. So, okay, yes, the person is in hospital and needs to be discharged. First thing I ask is, do you have the discharge planning from hospital? They always give you a discharge notes that will guide me as to what the diagnosis is, what are some of the blood reports, and so forth. And it will also guide me as to how to manage this patient, at least in the immediate future as they come along. So when you do not do that, you know, you're like a chicken without head. We just don't know who to expect, what to do, what kind of bed the patient need. Do they need rails? Do they need a step up? Do they need a wheelchair? Would they need ripple mattress? We do not know. So we cannot adequately prepare for this admission. Legal documents. There are legal documents that need to be filled out. Ensure all the necessary documents are completed. So in order to do that, you would need to have the relative either visit the home, even if it takes a half an hour, ask them to please come to the home, see the place, and also for you to be able to sign up your documents. So when this resident comes, you are better prepared. A nursing care plan. It is vitally important to have this plan. So if it's a resident who has a fractured hip, then you know what type of bed this resident has to go on. You know what is required. You know this resident would need a bed that can go up and down, because for a few weeks, they would be more on bed rest than ambulant. You know, so those are the things that we need to do. We need to ensure that there is financial clarity between you and the relative who's bringing this patient. You do not want that they have gotten there and time has passed, and when time for payment, they didn't understand that that is the payment and they thought that it was X and somebody told them Y. You do not want those headaches. So in order to be very clear, you ensure that there's open conversation and there's a legal document. You should have a contract that says exactly what you are going to be doing, what are your responsibilities, what are the responsibilities of the resident, the relative, and at what point payments need to be made in order to ensure that there is a high level of service. When you are finished with all that, you've completed those things, you are now ready to admit your patient. You are now ready to accept your resident as part and parcel of your family or the community. And look out for relatives who may downplay diagnoses.